is Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell, the Zimmer News Team, and your host, Randy Tobler.
You don't think more police make streets safer?
No, Joe. I'm a black woman in America. I do not always think that more police make streets safer.
It's just a fact, Peter.
Yes, it is. And that's Simone Sanders, who worked in the Biden administration, really with Kamala Harris. And so the type of logic she brings right there, it's awesome, Stephanie Bell. The other thing about it is that she brings up, she's very concerned that there are not cops on every corner of Georgetown. Okay.
Yeah, here we go.
When you walk down the streets of Georgetown, you don't see a police officer on every corner, but you don't feel unsafe.
Yeah, because there's no crime there. I have spent a lot.
Georgetown.
Yes, it's. In fact, last year I was in Georgetown for like 3 days. I walked around and didn't feel like I was going to be rolled. Like the last time I walked down Glencrest in Springfield, and I felt like I was going to get rolled by a homeless guy.
It's incredible. And you have to wonder, so does the inverse of that logic work as well? So fewer cops, less crime? Is that what she's saying?
Yeah, apparently. And again, realize criminals generally predate on people like them. So you're likely to be robbed by a person who is white.
I am.
Yes, you,
Okay.
Stephanie Bell. A black person is likely to be robbed by a person who's black. A lot of times, serious violent crimes are not by strangers. They're by people you know or know you. Those stats are absolutely irrefutable.
I think that's true. And I think we played a little bit of the audio from people on the street. And I've heard other news outlets play this audio, and there are a lot of black people in D.C. who say, I want Trump on the streets. You know, the big problem here is black on black crime or immigrant crime.
Yep.
And we need help here, regardless of color.
I have a buddy of mine, Pastor Adema Sabarius, who used to be on Fox News a lot. He is a pastor, and his ministry at the time, and I don't know if he's still there or not, was in the projects in the Bronx. And he gave me a tour one time, and he said 3 people got shot in that, and these are huge public housing towers. He goes, 3 people got shot in that building last year, 2 in that building. It was, and I said, and you spent time with the people in the projects. I spent the whole day. Lovely people.
Yeah, I mean, think about like the marketplace and, her argument that, just having police presence doesn't fix this problem. But I remember when I went to Seattle and people warned me, they said, oh my goodness, it's really bad there. But in the areas, I remember walking into a Target and it looked like the president was there. I mean, they had people everywhere. Yeah. And if you're a business, you know how to manage your business. And they decided, hey, the way to cut down on all this crime that we're seeing is to just have more police presence. And I trust them way more than I do Simone Sanders.
Yeah. And again, it's most of the people who live in projects, most of the people who live in, quote unquote, a bad neighborhood or a poor neighborhood are absolutely fantastic people. Now, there are some, obviously, that are bad. And that's a minority. Let's get those people off the street and allow people to live in peace.
Well, and a lot of this, what we see, here in Columbia, here in Springfield as well, we see crime being committed by people not from here, right? Like driving through, passing through, and they're preying on our poor and our more vulnerable areas, our neighborhoods without that police presence. And they're not even people that live here.
Correct. Hey, I prefer, Stephanie, I'm glad you brought up, I love homegrown crime.
Okay, that wasn't exactly my point.
Homegrown crime. You know what? I hate out-of-towners committing crimes. I like it when it's just our people.
Well, yes, we know how to pronounce their names in the newscast then.
But for you, Brian reports on it every day. And the problem with Columbia, I think, is that we have I-70. And these folks, they come down, they come into town. And half the time, he'll say this person was charged. And then he'll say their hometown. And
44
it's not even
is the same way.
Missouri, exactly.
44 is exactly the same way.
How are we supposed to get these people back to where they came from if there's no police on the streets?
That's right.
It's one of those deals like Lincoln University police point out. It seems like every year if they have incidents at their homecoming, You'll hear after the fact they go, and the individuals involved were not from Jefferson City.
100%. Well, Simone Sanders' statement is in stark contrast to another clip I saw yesterday, which I really appreciated. If we go ahead and, we talk about Missouri punching over our weight in D.C. right now. And there was some joking in the White House press briefing room the day before about it being very small, which it is. But there was a new face up at the press briefing room yesterday, which was a Missourian, the White House Staff Secretary Will Scharf, talking about these very executive orders.
We've seen on D.C. streets for far too long, and I, for one, am deeply proud to be part of an administration that's finally coming to terms with these issues, sir. Thank you.
So that was a really proud moment, I think, for Missouri.
Former prosecutor.
Yeah, ran for attorney general, but he walked through the provisions in these executive order. I think, Will lived in D.C. before he returned to Missouri, and lives there now. And it's like, this feels very common sense, Peter.
Yeah, it totally is. It's Wake Up Missouri. Stephanie Bell, Peter Thiel, John Marsh, and we got Drake. We got Drake.
Hello, Drake.
Yeah, you said that you have me. I didn't know you wanted me to say something.
We were making sure you were awake.
Yes.
Are you awake?
Yeah, my cot's over on the other side of this table here.
Okay,
so.
Good. Well, we have a big show for you today. We've got some really exciting guests. There's a lot going on at the state level. But first, we've been trying to get Jerry on for a while. Jerry is a friend of mine. I think he's self-described as obsessed with security. He knows if he tried to actually tell me what he does every day, it's a little bit over my head. So we're going to try to keep him up out of the weeds, and we're going to talk a little bit about AI. It's something he uses a lot. He really digs, his job focuses on cybersecurity, so we'll ask him some questions about that. But I know as AI continues to be a big thing, a lot of us non-techie people are trying to implement it, whether it's in our personal life or our business, and there's still a lot of questions about, is it safe? How do I use it? Am I behind if I'm not already using it? So Jerry will join us at 7:10. And then we've got, we like to talk about how conservatives are all about tax cuts and lowering prices, but there's some interesting stuff going on around the state. We're facing a water rate hike in Columbia. A tax increase is going on the ballot in Springfield. We've got statewide hearings now on property tax reform. So David Stokes of the Show Me Institute will be joining us on those topics at 8:10.
Continuing and again, I don't quite understand. You all of a sudden hear, we've got to do this make these types of increases because of this. And is it just me, Stephanie? Every time I hear about any type of price increases in Missouri, it always comes up to catch us up to where we should be instead of where we should be 20 years from now. It's we're just catching up. We got to fix a road because, they put a new factory in. Oh, my goodness, what do we do? And instead of what about advanced planning? I'm a fan of that. I like it a lot.
I think so as well. And you're starting to see, I think, a bigger focus on that. We covered yesterday that the MSU college president there in Springfield, or university president, excuse me, one of the things that he was tasked with doing in his first year is a 5-year strategic plan. And I think that's really smart. I know the state auditor dinged the St. Louis Public Schools in an audit last week, and part of it was failure to have a long-term plan that you can follow when you're implementing fiscal policy.
If you go to other states, Texas being obviously a big example, Texas is planning ahead. They're doing aggressive business recruiting, and they're building roads before things show up. It's really, insane how that
what
works.
What a concept.
And by the way, no state income tax.
Well, we're falling behind there a little bit.
Yeah. And so all these things are being done. All these things are happening. And, it's crazy how that gets done and how Missouri, we just sit there and sometimes twiddle our fingers going, I don't know what to do.
Well, Texas is also ahead of us on another path. Yesterday, now this audio isn't very good. What we're seeing is the Texas Senate is in session, and what you see is a line of Democrats walking out. Now, this is different from the Texas House because the Texas House folks all got on a charter jet and went to Illinois, and they have been able to bust the quorum. But apparently they had a quorum yesterday in Texas in the Senate. They put up the maps. The vote was 19-2, and 9 Democrats, as they started to vote on the map, stormed out.
Like adults.
They were big mad.
This is an insurrection in Texas that's being done by the Democrats. They're keeping the government from running. They're keeping the legislature from doing its job. And I know from everything I've been told in the last about 5-6 years, there's nothing worse than an insurrection. And it is time. It is time to arrest these people, jail them, flog them. I like public flogging. Bring that back. That's a good one.
Well, I think, and it feels very unfair, right? Because, Peter, if you just jumped on a jet and hung out in Illinois for 3 weeks, you'd probably, maybe the bosses would have something to say about that if you just decided not to show up for work.
I have not tried that one, but I'm just, I'm against, more talk. I want to go and hang out in Illinois till you change it. I want more commercials.
I mean, ultimately, I think here, I think
Don Zimmer on line 1 for you.
I mean, it is, and it is playing by their rules because they do have these weird quorum rules, right? But it just seems wrong to do. And of course, what we know is this conversation is ongoing in Missouri about potential redistricting. Missouri has different rules than Texas as far as the quorum goes. So if the Democrats fly to Illinois, the Missouri legislature could still vote to implement the maps. It's not going to thwart that effort. But it's not Texas has done this before.
Well, in 2020, when they were redoing the maps, there was the push for the 7-1 map in Missouri. And I remember Ben Baker, now a former state rep, well-beloved conservative, he expressed concerns that a 7-1 map would be found unconstitutional for the state of Missouri. Now, Jennifer Bukowski differs. She and I talked about it yesterday on the Gary Nolan Show. I personally think that, again, anything that comes out of the mouth of Ben Baker, I've always taken as gospel because he's a guy that...
I don't think he's a lawyer, though, right? He's not.
He's not a lawyer.
Okay.
Like that means anything.
Oh, come on, Peter. Come on.
Well played.
I haven't even heard the Democrats at this point, and I don't know what particular map Ben Baker was saying. I think you haven't heard any of the Democrats in the most recent debate talking about how the map itself would be.
Maybe it was the one at that time.
Could be.
Yeah.
Their main pushback right now is that mid-cycle, their argument is, potentially mid-cycle redistricting is unconstitutional. I also think they're wrong on that, and I am a lawyer, and so you have to listen to what I say, Peter. All right. Now we're going to listen to what John has to say in the Daily DC Rundown coming up next on Wake Up Missouri.
You're listening to Wake Up
President showed up to the White House, the 6-month annualized core inflation rate was 3.7%. Today, 6 months later, the 6-month annualized core inflation rate is 2.4%. So
I'm not tired of winning yet, Peter. Are you?
No, I'm not. In fact, the wins are going to keep on getting better because the Democrats are now protesting in D.C. For crime. They love it. They're fans.
That inflation data yesterday, of course, we reported came out. For a lot of things, it's holding steady, but obviously really a lot better than what we got in the Biden administration. And we're doing really well on things like food and energy, things that matter to everyday Americans. And that's what gets us into our daily DC rundown with John Marsh.
And that's because they can get that information out because National Guard troops are now in D.C., cracking down on crime at the Capitol. The mayor, Muriel Bowser, met with federal officials to talk coordination and strategy for the federal law enforcement presence. Texas House Democrats say they are headed home to the state after fleeing in an attempt to halt their legislative proceedings, which included the GOP attempts to redraw their congressional districts. Multiple sources say the House Dems will return to the Lone Star State feeling like they accomplished their mission.
What mission was that exactly, John?
That was to fly to Illinois and eat deep dish pizza for 3 days.
Okay, just checking.
I like that. I like the deep dish pizza.
Well, a little further north, historic summit all set to be held between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin in Alaska on Friday. Specifics like the time and exact location, they're kept close to the vest. All eyes on the talks to see what it will happen. Caroline Levitt calling a listening exercise set to happen Friday. Joint base Elmendorf-Richardson in an Anchorage where I was born. So there.
Peter, is there a path forward here?
No, because now the Ukrainians, their front lines were broken through by the Russians yesterday. Russia's on the way to win this. Zelensky's power is waning. In fact, there's a poll coming out, 61% of Ukrainians want the war to end now.
That's tough. And obviously Russia wants to keep some of the land that they've already...
They will.
Yeah. So, I mean, and like Ukraine said, no way. I mean, I don't see a path forward, even with President Trump trying to direct it.
Yeah, I think it's very problematic. And again, take Vladimir Putin at his word. He said years ago, he said many times, that the worst part of the breakup of the Soviet Union was losing all those wonderful Russians. So he wants to bring everybody back to the party.
Can he do it?
Well, he's got Soviet Georgia back, and he's moving through Ukraine. He wants it all back.
So what do you...
And Ukraine is important because it's the breadbasket of Europe.
Exactly. And it's massive. Like,
yes.
Land-wise, it's massive. Now, like, so what are you expecting Friday? I mean, Caroline Levitt saying it's a listening session. Trump's really been hedging about and setting the expectations low about this meeting. I mean, are we going to... it was a fruitful discussion. I mean, are we going to... Is there anything else more to be had?
I don't think so. I think that the Russians are on their way to winning this doggone thing unless Putin can just say no. And I'm a fan of... I want the Ukraine to be on its own. I really do, but that's where we're at.
I think
President wants a ceasefire, and that's kind of where he's at.
We will continue to follow that as we march toward that meeting that occurs in Alaska on Friday. Now, the Democrats are back to their lying ways. We know they're liars, but man, Peter, this one is a doozy.
Awesome.
A doozy. You're going to want to stay tuned for that. It's Wake Up Missouri. I am Stephanie Bell, sitting in for Randy this morning, along with Peter Thiel, John Marsh, Drake Whitman, and this John Oliver clip is a little bit long, so I'm going to warn you, but stick with us because the lies from the Democrats are getting better and better. This one is a doozy.
But I actually want to talk less about Chuck Schumer himself and more about two of his favourite people, Joe and Eileen Bailey. They're a couple that throughout Schumer's career, he has talked about a lot.
They're a middle-class couple in Massapequa, which is a suburb on Long Island.
Joe and Eileen Bailey, this middle-class couple, they bought into Reagan Republicanism in 1980. Joe and Eileen are worried about losing their jobs or their friends' jobs.
The Baileys really don't believe in trickle-down. They don't believe in a whole lot of government spending, but they believe in tax breaks for kids to go to college.
He's an insurance adjuster and lives in the New York suburbs. By New York standards, he makes $50,000 a year. If he lived in the middle of the country, he'd make $40,000. Wife works in a medical office. She makes about $20,000. She might make $15,000 elsewhere. And, you know, I have guided my political life through the Baileys.
The Baileys have guided Chuck Schumer's political life, which is a little weird given they don't exist. Seriously.
What, Peter? So he has two imaginary friends?
Yes.
That are married?
Yes.
That he talks about in dozens of interviews over decades and actually wrote a book, and they are like the primary couple.
Of the 264-page book, the Baileys, a fictitious couple, are mentioned 265 times. It also comes out that apparently Schumer mutters around his office to his staff all the time. What do you think the Baileys would think about this?
Here's that.
Them for years before the book was published. One of his former spokespeople said he's always asking, what would the Baileys think? And to be fair, Schumer acknowledges that some may find this a little weird.
If you ask my staff, I've been talking about and talking to the Baileys for 15 years. I have conversations with them. One of my staffers once said I had imaginary friends to the press. Got me in some trouble.
So not only does he like imagine them in his head, but has conversations, it sounds like out loud, with his imaginary friends.
Now the idea here is that a lot of times this is used in a variety of businesses, boardrooms.
Think about your ideal
companies.
customer.
Yeah, who's the person? What are they thinking? What are they doing? A lot of businesses have a profile of their customer. For instance, like if you're like a plumber, for instance.
Joe the plumber and the McCain-Palin campaign, right?
Yeah, well, essentially.
But he was like a real guy.
Yeah, no,
he was a real guy. He went after Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the idea of a plumber, well, you know, they're not interested in renters. They want somebody who owns their own home. They have a target who their audience is and who buys their product. That's pretty good. Well, so apparently over time.
Do you think the plumber talks to his imaginary friend?
Probably not like Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer, apparently, this probably came out of a political consultant saying, hey, you've got to think of voters first. Let's name them. And probably Joe goes, I like the names Joe and Eileen. Well, let's get them in the burbs. What do we call them now? Oh, they're Irish. Call them Bailey. And that's how it went. And everything in New York, by the way, is separated by ethnicity. It is, if you go to their Veterans Day parade, you'll have the Filipino veterans of Gulf War I. Okay. And then you'll have the Filipino veterans of Vietnam. Then you'll have it's all based on ethnicity. So that's a huge sort of a New Yorkism. So that's kind of so the idea of an Irish family from the burbs, it fits perfectly.
I think for me, like this, the lying isn't so much like the problem for me. It's the fact that well, if the Baileys were really good friends of Chuck Schumer's, then they would have taught him how to grill a hamburger, first of all, right?
Yes. Irish people are good at that.
Right? And he clearly, he needs better friends, honestly.
Yes.
So that makes me angry to start out with. But second, that...
It makes you angry?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you have good friends and you're that close to them and you talk to them all the time, I mean, they should teach you how to grill a hamburger.
All right. Very good.
Also... But the fact that he is so out of touch with middle class Americans that he can't go get to know actual middle class Americans. He has to make up a story about some in his book, in his head, in his office, and just imagine what it's like to have a $50,000 a year job and to, live in the burbs and get out and talk to people, make actual friends.
Yes. Well, and that's one of the great problems in D.C. is that they live in their little bubble. I've worked, and I don't know how much work you've done in D.C., Stephanie, but I've been there, probably about 5-6 times to work on radio, press, that type of stuff over the years. And I will tell you, these people live in like the bizarro world. Just an absolute bizarro world because they have no relations to how real people work.
In a bubble. And that's why I think it's like we played the audio of Will Scharf speaking from the press briefing room. We've got Aaron Hedlund from the Show Me Institute in doing economic advising for the president. We've got lots of Missourians. We've got John Sauer in as the solicitor. I mean, I think it's so important to import real, actual people with Missouri values to D.C. to teach them a thing or two.
Well, it's just if I ever hear another, especially white liberal, go on and say how they're going to fix the cities or how they're going to fix things with a minority group or with the homeless, and it's always a theoretical thing. It's like this whole deal with all these woke prosecutors. These woke prosecutors, their whole deal is, well, utopia basically doesn't happen without you don't create an omelet without breaking a few eggs. And we're going to let some people out of jail, and some of them are going to kill people, but that's just the price for justice. And that's how these wackos think.
It's bizarre, and Chuck Schumer is one of the very worst. Now I want to get
you talked about the imaginary friends living out on the island out there, Massapequa. And every time you see Chuck Schumer, I was born and raised in Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn, and I'm still here. And it's like, in a multi-million-dollar brownstone, you're not exactly a man of the people.
That
right?
area of Brooklyn, I think at one point was not particularly great. Now it is fantastic. Brooklyn is the home of every, it's if you're one of those like leftist sort of hipsters, you've moved into Brooklyn, you've kicked everybody else out, and now there's a bunch of cupcake shops.
Well, that's why this is one of my favorite weeks of the year because, of course, it is like the culmination of the state fair. And you can always tell someone's authenticity at the fair, too, whether they're actual fair people or whether they're coming back from D.C. trying to be a fair person.
Yes.
It's really interesting.
If the jeans are
like
pressed.
The senior senator from Missouri who got into it with Lucas Coons last year.
It's when you see a politician at the state fair and they're wearing pressed jeans, it's not a good look. If that flannel shirt they're wearing or something like that
still has a tag on it.
Yeah, it looks brand new. Yeah, if you're going to wear a flannel shirt and you want to look authentic, here's where you go: Salvation Army, or you go to the Habitat for Humanity or any thrift store, Goodwill. And you go find an old ratty flannel shirt.
You can wear like a nice Carhartt or something. Although I have been,
That's
it feels like people. I went to Europe and like Carhartt's gotten really popular, and like Europeans were wearing Carhartt, and I'm like, are you misappropriating our culture here? Like this feels weird. But you always see it at the state fair, and you can tell when somebody's actually enjoying the state fair. I heard an interview recently, and Eric Schmidt is is our senator. He spends obviously most of his time now in D.C., but has been going to the fair for years. And when he's there, he looks authentic. He keeps his authenticity, but you can tell he actually likes being at the fair, and he's not just doing it to check a box.
Yes.
Yeah, you can always tell when you see the politicians at the state fair who look very ill at ease in their brand new straw Stetson cowboy.
And one of the reasons why Donald Trump is so great, he doesn't dress up for those things. He's not playing a part. He shows up in his suit, his red power tie. It's no matter where he is, no matter what he's doing, he's always dressed the same in his uniform.
Or a golf polo.
a golf polo.
If he's on the course.
Yeah, but that's when he's playing golf. And I did see a video of him one time. He showed up at a church.
I'm going to stick up for myself because, of course, as you know, I am not a farmer, but I am going to pack my boots for the state fair.
Oh,
and
God.
here is my...
Because it gets pretty deep at the state fair. Huh?
And here, heels are not advised.
So
and,
you become performative.
And I will say, nope, I have
like
a rule.
Christy Gnome-like.
I have a rule. My town, which it's coming up.
Hide
If you
your
want
dogs.
to, if you want to check it out, the Cattleman's Day Rodeo is coming up in Ashland, and I feel like even if you're not a farmer, if your town hosts a rodeo, you can wear boots non-performatively. Is my
That's
rule.
Right.
Okay, I don't buy that actually. I think that's Christy Gnome. She shows up with ice. She's wearing the
belt buckle.
Yeah, and she has the flak jacket.
Oh yeah,
on,
that's right. That's right.
With her name on it. Wearing a cowboy hat if she's out west. It's all performative. And Stephanie Bell showing up at a rodeo.
And the other thing,
Christy Gnome's dog might beg to differ with you on that
fair.
one, but.
Well, the other thing I'm really looking forward to seeing at the state fair for the first time, very excited, and I'm not sure I can really miss it, Peter. The world's largest rubber duck is making its first appearance at the Missouri State Fair.
Are you going to do, since you're going to be out there?
I think I have to get a selfie.
Well, not only just a selfie, you need to do a video on the Wake Up Missouri page.
Okay.
You need to do a quick video just talking about the wonders of a giant rubber duck. That is what makes America great.
Is it made out of butter?
I know, but I am planning to visit the butter cow. The duck is 6 stories tall, 61 feet high, 64 feet wide, and they said 74 feet long of pure joy.
Don't set that on the dashboard of your Jeep, right?
I think there's a sponsor, and I think there's a lot of Jeeps with the duck, and so I'm going to check it out. It's called Mama Duck.
Oh,
and it's to remind you, it's
yeah.
to spread happiness and love wherever she goes, and a reminder to enjoy our outdoor spaces. So I'm looking forward to this. But Peter, this is not unusual for Missouri because we are the home to many of the world's largest items. There is apparently a giant fork in Springfield. If you've missed it, there is a Maxie the Goose, 39 years old, weighing 5,500 pounds in Sumner, which is, I think, I looked this up on the map. It's like kind of near Brookfield is where Sumner is. So you can actually go on a tour.
The only reason to go to Sumner.
The giant fork is in Springfield.
It is in Springfield. Yeah. And somebody painted their water tower with a giant 8-ball. We've also got the world's largest chess piece in St. Louis and the world's largest shuttlecock in Kansas City.
Okay, mark it down.
If you're planning your summer vacation, you need to get one last week.
Staycation, we got it going on.
All right, coming up next on Wake Up Missouri, we are going to make Missouri healthy again.
This
I am Stephanie Bell. This is Wake Up Missouri. We are glad you are here. And Peter Thiel has your Making Missouri Healthy again. Maybe not in so much a Randy Tobler kind of style.
No, totally different. By the way, washing your hands could kill you. Yes, there is a recall of bacterial prevention soap that could kill you. Yes, it could create life-threatening sepsis. That's a good time. Derma-Right Industries warns that contaminated products were shipped all over the USA. So right over here, it could be all over the place in Missouri under the Clean Foam antibacterial foam
that has bacteria in it.
Yeah, with aloe vera. They also have the Permagene antiseptic cleanser in those small 7.5 ounce sizes. I've used that a lot, by the way. When COVID was happening, I'm a little bit of a germaphobe. I was like, I'd like carrying that all over the place.
I just threw a bunch of that away.
Did you really?
Yeah.
That was the saddest
Maybe
day in the
not
world.
this brand, but I'm over the hand sanitizer.
So check your soaps. If you have antibacterial soap, find out where it came from, what it's about. Big warning from the Centers for Disease Control. And especially if someone has a problem, you may have a parent or a grandparent or a child that has an autoimmune thing. That's where the people are really into trouble with this soap is.
And this soap label is so funny. It says a healthcare antiseptic, mild on skin. Oh, by the way, could kill you.
Could kill you. And just a big asterisk there in red.
Okay, I don't think I'm endorsing, but Peter, your position is not to not wash your hands. It's to check your soap, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, but
because men kind of have a problem with always washing their hands. Let's be honest.
Some do, yeah. I'm a little bit of personally, I'm a little bit of a germaphobe.
No,
I know it's crazy. I know it's nuts. And so I'm big into showering and washing my hands.
I always thought, like during COVID, how, they
nice to know.
Like that was one of the big reminders, get vaccinated. And I think the second reminder was wash your hands. I'm like, why are we having to remind people to wash their hands? Like that seems like we should be doing that.
Yeah, one would think. That's what they say.
You would think. I got this new game, and it's called Wavelength, and we played it for the first time last night. It's really fun on a recommendation. Oh, Drake knows what I'm talking about. And it basically gives you a dial, and you get a topic. And so last night it was like frequency, I think. And so like or really popular activities, not so popular activities. And you select, it tells you where to go. Like maybe it's at like kind of like a 90%.
Yes.
And this was at like 95%. And so I'm thinking like, I've got kids, so I'm like really popular activities. Like what are people doing 95% of the time? I said, brush your teeth. Because I think most people are brushing their teeth. I don't think everyone brushes their teeth. I think most people.
Well, British people.
And my kids got it wrong. They picked 75%. And I said, you should be brushing your teeth more if you think people are only brushing their teeth 75% of the time. It was really fun. My husband picked, he was doing the dial and it was easy to kill, hard to kill. And he was like, okay, this is a lesson in how much I've taught you. So it was all the way, 100% on hard to kill. And he told the girls, Chuck Norris. And they dialed that thing up to 100%. They got it right on.
Yes.
It was hilarious.
You can't kill Chuck Norris.
Exactly.
It's like an armadillo. You ever tried to kill an armadillo?
By the way,
Brian Hauswirth killed one with his car and actually did some damage.
He did.
Well, it did some damage to his car, actually.
in armadillos, they carry a disease.
Yeah, a really bad one. Leprosy, right?
Leprosy, yeah. So when you see that, if you have a dead armadillo on your street, just leave it in the street. Don't take a shovel to it. Definitely don't pick it up with your hands. You don't want to get the leprosy. It's bad. And the reason
and they
is
eat them in
that,
Central America.
You'll all of a sudden begin to lose digits on your fingers and on your feet.
I'm still worried about, because we posted it on our Facebook a couple years ago. Someone had tied a get well soon balloon to a dead armadillo on the side of the road, which was hilarious. But I'm concerned about that person's health because they definitely
their nose could be gone.
Touched the dead armadillo.
God knows by now.
All right, up next we're talking AI and cybersecurity with an expert, Jerry Gamblin. around the globe speaking at security conferences. We are joined by Jerry Gamblin. I saw one article describe him as a security evangelist, researcher, and analyst, but I really appreciated this headline where they just called you one hacker. Would you describe yourself as a hacker?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, all a hacker is somebody who spends more time trying to figure out a problem than most people would reasonably expect, right? Like, it's just someone who keeps looking at something until they figure out how it works exactly. And sometimes that involves figuring out a way to break it.
And so there are good hackers and bad hackers, right? You'd call yourself a good guy hacker?
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
white hat?
A white hat. But I mean, the color of the hat always depends on what side of the conflict you're looking at, right? Like, it's all the same stuff in the end, but that's probably a deeper conversation for another time.
That is. Well, we wanted to get you on to talk a little bit about AI. Obviously, it's in the headlines, and you are down in the weeds of security and AI, but is it something we should be afraid of? Because I think a lot of people are afraid of it.
I don't think you should be afraid of AI. I think you should understand what AI can and can't do at this time, and both embrace it and understand that it's coming and that we're going to continue to use it, right? Like, we've been using AI for 25 plus years. People just really didn't call it that. Things from spell checking to grammar checking were early versions of AI. But with the increase of the GPUs, the systems that actually produce the models that do AI, it's just increasing. It's the normal scale up of technology.
So most people, when they say, well, I don't use AI, they're probably wrong because it's built into the systems we're already using. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, for sure. Autocorrect is AI, right? Like, we've been using autocorrect in text messages forever, right? Like, every time you're on your phone and you type in a word and it says this is the wrong word, here's the right word, that information is in a loop. It sends that information back to Apple. Apple sees how many times people spell, duck instead of maybe the other word, and then they figure out how to tweak their AI system to fix that.
It's security analyst Jerry Gamblin right here on Wake Up Missouri. Stephanie Bell, Peter Thiel. Jerry, one of the big ideas here about what AI could become is that, and kind of I think a relatively fair fear is that it could become quote unquote sentient. When does that happen?
So sentient is kind of like a science fiction term. I think in the industry we use AGI, artificial general intelligence. That means that a system is able to think and improve itself. I think that's coming probably in the next 3 to 5 years. I don't mean that it's going to be mature enough to become Terminator, but it is going to be able to think and improve its underlying code and keep improving itself, just like any other self-healing system that we have.
Talk to us about what the defense industry is up to and the things we've seen potentially with AI on the battlefield in the war with Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah, AI in Russia is super interesting just because of the way that it's working, right? Target acquisition and target understanding is definitely a use of AI. It's been using AI for the intelligence services have used AI for a lot longer than people want to admit. Back in 2015, Israel used AI for the first time. That's been widely reported in the press when they had a camera that could identify people, and it shot an Iranian leader with a machine gun using AI, right? Like, it was recording the video, it saw the guy, it confirmed a match and opened up. That was the first time it was publicly used. That has obviously moved to the wider battlefield in Ukraine, where the drones they send out now are basically on self-hunting missions. They know what a Russian tank looks like, they know what a Russian Jeep looks like, and when they see those, they can automatically attack those without having to have direct input from a pilot on the ground. It's a force multiplier for the Army, because it's pretty well turns these drones into launch and forget weapons, right? You can, as fast as you can launch them, they can just go and do their patrol, and if they see something, they can take action, and if not, they can return to base and recharge and go out on the next flight.
Jerry Gambley's a cybersecurity expert right here on Wake Up Missouri. Stephanie Bell, Peter Thiel, John Marsh. Hey, now, Jerry, let's talk about one of the capabilities they say that AI probably is already there, is that they're able to do certain tests that for engineering would take forever. For instance, coming up with a compound for like tar that is placed on a road that it doesn't become a pothole 6 months later. How realistic is that, and where are we on that technology?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the technology is there. It's all about scaling and how many GPUs you could get. I know you guys are a pretty political show, and you guys have probably talked recently about the NVIDIA and AMD deal that Trump just signed, where the U.S. government gets 15% of all of the GPU sales that they sell to China. So the deal is with these GPUs, with these cards, they're the brains for these systems, and you have to have tens to hundreds of thousands of them to do things like you're saying, but it's doable. But it's a capitalism problem, right? Is spending $1 billion to build a cluster to figure out how to make that pothole resistant tar worth it? Is it in anybody's best interest, et cetera? So that's where we're going to be for a while is while the technology is there, the cost and entry level is still so high that, you know, a local company can't just say, oh, I'm going to go and run this on the computer I have in my back office and it's going to figure this out. It's a large nation state, you know, corporate 500 type investment to build these systems to do stuff like you said.
So, yeah, we've talked a lot about, the cost. We also talk a little bit about the energy required and what the U.S. needs to do as far as energy production. But I think the other thing that people have concerns about AI is with it taking over people's jobs. And I think in particular, tech jobs. And you're in the industry. I think code that used to take, an individual a long time to write, AI can now spit out in a matter of minutes. If your code is broken, you can throw it in the AI and say, why, fix this for me. What are you seeing in the industry as far as the job issue?
I think people have come off the fear train and got back to understanding that people in tech are normally hired for their creativity and their ability to problem solve and to think. And without AGI, AI cannot do that yet. So it's starting to be looked at as more of a savior because it's doing the part of your job that nobody likes, right? We've stopped saying it's going to replace tier 1 jobs, which is like entry level jobs, and really want people to understand that it's going to replace tier 0 jobs, the jobs that nobody likes to do, right? Like if you have to go through and hand sort an Excel spreadsheet with 10,000 rows in there. That's nobody's favorite job, right? Like, why wouldn't you let a robot or an AI system that can do that in 30 seconds do it instead of spending an hour doing that?
That's why we used to hire interns, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. And use that hour to do something productive and creative for your company to help move that bottom line. Because nobody wants to do that work. I don't know anybody who comes to work and wants to spend an hour, doing manual data manipulation like that.
Let's switch over for a moment to cybersecurity. I saw this article where they called you one hacker. They said one hacker is shocked at the vulnerabilities at the Google Home Hub. And it's no secret that a lot of us who aren't super tech savvy, see the latest shiny thing and buy it and put it inside of our house. So for people sitting at home who have a smart thermostat, an Alexa, a Google Home Hub, are there cybersecurity vulnerabilities or now even a smart fridge? Are there things in our home that we should take more precautions?
So that was a story. That was an interesting story when I was having that discussion with Google in the press, which is always interesting when it's one guy against the largest company at the time in the world. But not normally. Google does a good job. The vulnerability that I found in their thing was very specific. You had to be on somebody's home network to pull off the hack. It was interesting. It was good research. They went back and patched the vulnerability after we went back and forth, but nobody is putting stuff in people's houses that are known to be bad, right? It's just bad business for Google to do that. Google's in the data business, and if people can make people not trust Google with their data, it'll wreck their business model, right? Google needs all the data you give it to run its ad programs, to run its search algorithms. So companies like Google and Apple who put stuff in your house are always looking at security very, very importantly. I can't say the same thing for when you go to Amazon and buy the cheapest web camera you can find for $10 and throw it in your front yard. Those that might have a backdoor in it or not be well secured or well written, and people can look at those things. But so if you stay with a known name brand, you're probably doing well. And to be honest, nobody likes to pay subscriptions. But at the end of the day, if you're paying a subscription for Nest or for a Wise Link or whatever, you're investing in the security of that product going forward. So that's what I tell people when they're looking at home automation and home IoT stuff, is that you shouldn't worry if you're buying name brand stuff. You go to Amazon and buy the $9.99 camera, you might have something to worry about.
Now, a lot of your work has been done with respect to CVEs, and I had to honestly look up that term, common vulnerabilities and exposures, and there's some reporting and disclosures when you identify those. I think you have built a tool that uses AI to kind of predict these CVE disclosures, and those are increasing pretty significantly. Should we be worried about that?
No, it's part of the loop cycle, right? Like, the better that technology gets, the more vulnerabilities that are going to be found. That means the more vulnerabilities that can be fixed. So it's all part of a feedback loop, and it's fine. And I think that there's no problem with there being more. And I'm actually glad there are more. And I try to always say that when I talk about vulnerabilities, right? It's like,
so it's kind of like see something, say something. As a good hacker, you see something, report it to, and then at that point, once it's been identified, then it can be fixed?
Then it can be fixed, exactly right. So many of those don't get fixed, right? Like the government, our government, their government, everybody's government has a stockpile of CVEs, of vulnerabilities that they haven't made public, that they use to do their secret spy stuff, right? Like that's how they hack into Iranian nuclear plants or, Russian power plants to do stuff, is that the U.S. government knows those vulnerabilities and hasn't told the company that made the product about it so that they can fix it. So what hackers do and what security researchers do are they look for that, and then they give that information, sometimes freely, sometimes for a charge called a bug bounty, to companies who then patch that vulnerability and secure everyone.
All right. Well, this has been fascinating. I think we're going to have you back to talk about all that secret spy stuff and bug bounties. But we appreciate the insights this morning on Wake Up Missouri. Thanks, Jerry.
No problem at all. Have a good day.
You too. All right. Coming up next, let's get back to what the Democrats are saying about crime in D.C. You're not going to believe it.
You're listening
You don't think more police make streets safer?
No, Joe, I'm a black woman in America. I do not always think that more police make streets safer. When you walk down the streets of Georgetown, you don't see a police officer on every corner, but you don't feel unsafe.
Yeah, because Georgetown in D.C., that's Simone Sanders, by the way, on MSNBC. She says, yeah, in Georgetown, you don't see cops everywhere. Yeah, because there's no crime there. It's you put the cops where the crime is. That's how you stop the crime.
Not where all the bougie shops are, because that's where I'm usually in Georgetown to do some shopping.
Yeah, my nephew and his fiance live in Georgetown. I'm going to be there for a wedding in a couple of weeks. It's a very cool place to be, and yeah, it's not a lot of crime.
Like if you were...
Stay clear of Brentwood and Woodward and all those kind of places, right?
Like if you're the Columbia Police, you're probably not hanging out at Zimmer headquarters. You're probably hanging out over at Stevens Lake Park, where there's been like two massive incidents here recently, just this week, with somebody threatening to commit suicide by a cop who's now charged.
Yeah, it's yeah, you never know what's going on with people. They're a bizarre little lot here. You want to have the cops where the crime is. That's where you put them. In nice areas, you don't need to worry about it. It's the Manhattan Institute's their broken windows theories. You pay attention to where the broken windows are, where the graffiti is. That's where you put the cops, and that helps lower the crime.
Well, according to Simone Sanders, who apparently was an advisor to Kamala Harris.
Well, it makes sense.
Less cops, less crime is, I think, her argument.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's, you can't count crime statistics if there are no cops there to figure out where the crimes are.
Well, and you can't always trust the statistics, what we're learning. We've heard that there has been maybe some manipulation of how those statistics have been reported.
Yeah, and again, they come up with, and you see this all the time, climate scientists come up with these weird sort of, mathematical equations that go out and favor them in the process. And they go, well, the study says... Yeah, let me tell you, there's a lot of crappy studies that you have to say, okay, who funded the study? And there's a real run with big blue cities never to have crime.
Well, it's important not to listen to the crazy liberals who live in D.C. and rather listen to someone from Missouri who was in the press briefing room yesterday from the podium. Here's Will Scharf on the president's executive order.
It also authorized the Secretary of Defense to work with state governors to utilize their National Guard units if necessary as well. These are bold, decisive steps intended to combat the out-of-control crime conditions we've seen on D.C.'s streets for far too long.
And I would say not only bold, decisive steps, but common sense steps, Peter.
Yes. Putting cops where the crimes are. Arrest bad people. I like arresting bad people.
Let's do it.
Lock them up.
I like it. Well, we are going to be talking tax hikes, water rate hikes, property tax reform at 8:10 with David Stokes of the Show Me Institute. So we want you to stay tuned for that. But we're going to talk more about Democrat lies. Oh, and why you shouldn't eat ranch dressing.
Yeah, ranch is bad, apparently, allegedly.
I think
I'm Stephanie Bell, joined by co-host Peter Thiel, John Marsh, and producer Drake. I am headed to the State Fair later today, and I'll be there in the morning. If you are out and about, I hope you keep your eyes open for me and say hi. Peter will take the reins tomorrow, and we don't usually do segment titles on Wake Up Missouri, but I'm making an exception for today.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, if this segment had a title, it'd be called Redistricting, Ranch Dressing, and Rubber Ducks. Are you ready for this, Peter?
Yeah, go ahead with redistricting, and I already know what's going on with rubber ducks, and they're pure evil.
Oh, all right. Here's the latest.
Well, it's hilarious, Harris, to see these Democrats talk about moral clarity and rigging the system, because all of this unfairness was actually started by Democrats, and it was started by Democrats right here in California.
That's Steve Hilton, a gubernatorial candidate there in California, and we heard it here on Wake Up Missouri yesterday when we interviewed David Tyson Smith, who says he is going to push back staunchly against the redistricting effort in Missouri, and they're saying this is unprecedented. The Republicans are playing games. And we know Democrats have been playing games for a very long time, and it's time we play the same games back.
Yeah, it's time to outplay the Democrats. And believe me, they do not understand defense. And the Democrats have been on defense. They have no message. They have no ideas. It's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. So, Stephanie, you are the world's greatest proponent of ranch dressing.
I am a certified ranch dressing hater.
Ranks right up there with puppies.
With puppies, yeah.
Yeah, she hates
100%.
puppies in ranch dressing. For anyone who says, man, it must be great to work with Stephanie Bell.
Also,
and,
sandwiches.
There you go.
Sandwiches, there's a long list. But ranch
you
dressing.
Like sandwiches?
No. But ranch dressing is at the top of my list.
All right.
And here's a good reason why you too should hate ranch dressing.
Yeah, country singer Carly Pierce,
who I just saw at CMA Fest in Nashville about a month ago. She was singing with Rascal Flatts. She sang My Wish. So for all you millennials out there who loved those Rascal Flatts songs, it was beautiful, and she's beautiful. Okay. But she had a little oopsie.
Not real good with the ranch dressing bottle. She cut herself open pretty good.
She posted on TikTok, and her thumb is like completely wrapped up. She said she was trying to open, but here's the important thing, is if you're going to eat ranch dressing, you have to do it Midwest style with the OG plastic bottle Hidden Valley Ranch, because she must have been eating some pretty bougie ranch, because her ranch dressing came in a glass bottle. And
yeah,
that was,
you know what?
That was her first mistake.
My ranch dressing that I have and blue cheese that I have, both come in glass bottles.
Well, you're doing it wrong.
Because I am a bougie ranch dressing eater. And I know that may be shocking as hell to a lot of people. But, it's cutting yourself open while doing the ranch dressing pre a concert. Not a good way to go. Don't you have people who open that up for you? What the hell?
She had to go in for an x-ray and get stitches from this incident. Wow. And it's a major ranch dressing
casualty. And so this country artist, and by the way, don't ever think that country artists are not smart people. When you hear this anecdote, you'll go, wow, they're morons. So Carly Pierce says that, her staff thought that her thumb looked good until she noticed there was ketchup running down her arm, and she realized it wasn't ketchup, it was blood. Okay, what do? Are you dipping your hand in ketchup?
What was her chef doing, picking the brown M&Ms out of the bowl, or what?
I don't know what the deal is. All I can tell you is that if all of a sudden you go, I just cut myself, and a few minutes later, ketchup's coming out of my hand, that's a sign that you may not be that smart.
And that you may need medical attention.
Yeah, medical attention, yes.
Well, she's a beautiful lady and a beautiful singer. I will say that. She's talented.
Not smart. Not understanding glass.
I'm not going there.
And that ketchup doesn't come from your veins. It's called blood.
So
did they say if this happened backstage at the Grand Ole Opry or not?
No, they did not say. She has returned to her home in Nashville. I don't know where she was eating the ranch dressing, but pretty big warning there. So if you're opening glass bottles, be careful. But the only thing that levels up to my hate of ranch dressing, apparently, I just learned this, is that Peter hates rubber ducks.
Yeah, rubber ducks suck. They are the worst things ever. There's the world's biggest rubber duck,
Mama Duck.
Yeah, Mama Duck at the State Fair, which Stephanie Bell's going to do a Facebook Live around on the Wake Up page.
I'm going to go find this 61-foot high, 6-story
How can
tall
you miss it?
rubber duck.
How can you?
I can't wait.
Stephanie's talking about like this is like searching for the searching for the ring of doom in the Lord of the Rings movies. No, this is not a quest. It's a 6-foot tall duck.
I'm excited. But why do you
Just
hate...
look for the Jeep factory rep. He'll tell you all about it, I'm sure.
I think it is in conjunction with some sort of corporate sponsorship. And they did say that there are a lot of times Jeeps that show up to see Mama Duck. When it was first, I guess, debuted, more than 250,000 people made a trek in L.A. to go see Mama Duck. So,
well, it's we live in a society that's doomed, obviously.
Are you afraid of rubber ducks? Are they like clowns for you? You're scared of them?
No, I'm not scared of them. I just hate them, and I will tell you why. I see all these people that have rubber ducks and stuffed animals all on their dashboard, and sometimes you see it in the rear window, and they say it's Jeep people. I've seen many other vehicles with this. Now that I've said this, you're going to begin to notice as you're driving into work. And here's the deal. These people get into a big accident. Have you ever taken a rubber duck in your skull? Have you ever?
They're kind of hard, actually.
Yes. I mean, I will tell you.
So you're worried about projectile rubber ducks. You don't have the fear
of rubber duck death. I don't want to die via rubber duck projectile.
That's horrible. There's a name for almost every fear. I don't know that they've yet named the fear for projectile rubber ducks, but we should get on that.
And we have a scientist here. He's taking a break, and God bless him from us. Poor Randy Tobler. He's the scientist around here. Perhaps he needs to come up with my rubber duck hate, and maybe I have to see somebody. Maybe I have to lay down on the couch and express myself to a professional.
It's a community thing, so it's like a greeting that you carry them around, and maybe you have like a little particular one, and you're like in the club. I do like that it like brings community.
I am not walking around showing people my duck that I carry in my pocket.
Now,
what's going on there? I got a duck in my pants.
And
you pick
glad
up a
to
rubber
quack
duck,
me.
and you just go, his name is Oscar.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the official name for fear of rubber ducks would technically be plastidandatophobia.
Oh, boy.
Well, Peter,
Latin 101 from Drake.
You should stay far, far away from the state fair then, apparently, if you have a fear of rubber ducks, because I think large rubber ducks would be worse.
Now, is this an inflatable one? Like, if I stick a good knife into it, will it deflate? What's going on here?
Well, then I have no idea what it's made of. I will report back live from the rubber duck site.
Damn right.
Okay. Well, the other thing about rubber ducks that I didn't realize is they're like really big. I knew about the Jeep thing, but I went on my first cruise last year, and I didn't realize. I don't know if it's just Carnival cruise lines or if it's all cruise lines, but people will literally bring like hundreds of these rubber ducks, and they hide them all over the ship, and that's like part of the activity for the week. But it's done completely like grassroots. Like it's not formalized. And then you hide your various ducks, and then people collect them and keep like I guess mementos from the trip. But like people have different rubber ducks. It was kind of fun. Like if my kids were with me, I think they would really enjoy that.
Okay, so something else for you to dust in the house. Your rubber duck display. How many rubber ducks do you own, Stephanie, now that we want to know this?
I have several, and I did pick some up on the cruise ship, and it was kind of like a little moment of delight. I was like, oh, I have a duck. And people would hand them to you. It was cute. And I will say cruise ships don't go very fast. So there was no fear of like projectile rubber ducks on the cruise ship. They were just happy ducks.
Okay. John, how concerned are you about this?
Well, as a Jeep guy, I think they're goofy.
Really?
Yeah.
But
like Peter said, they've spread. You see them in people's little EVs. You see a whole dash full of rubber ducks now.
And I can't remember where I was, but I was somewhere recently, and they had water through the middle of the city, and like they had an annual rubber duck race.
Was that San Antonio?
Yes. Yeah. And you put them in the water.
That dirty creek, as Charles Barkley would say.
That's on my bucket list. I think that would be fun.
Okay, well, that's high living here with Stephanie. She wants to float a duck down the river walk in San Antonio. Here's the thing about. I lived in San Antonio for about 4 years.
Okay.
Let me tell you, all the restaurants on the Riverwalk
hate it.
suck.
Oh.
It's the further off you are, the better it is.
Isn't that kind of like the normal touristy thing? Like
Yes,
if you get outside of the city, I like being off strip at Las Vegas.
Correct.
I like being off Broadway in Nashville. So you're saying if you visit San Antonio, get it off the Riverwalk. Perfect.
Yeah, I'm not a huge gambler. I've been to Vegas a number of times. Usually it's been family oriented or stuff like that. If I'm there though, I don't want to go to one of the strip casinos. I want to go where the normal people are, where the regular folks.
Yeah, you want to go to Old Vegas.
It's my favorite one to go to is the Silver Sevens.
Oh, not the Golden Nugget.
No, the Silver Sevens.
Okay.
Which is on Flamingo, about 5-6 blocks off of the Strip, and it is where the regular people go. And you sit in the sports book, and you watch people, and watch these people are the local chronic gamblers. They're amazing to watch. I'll go to Vegas and I'll bet $20 over a weekend. I'm a big bettor, obviously, but I want to be there with the real people.
Well, Drew on the text line, you can text us 573-874-9390, is suggesting a wake up field trip to the Duck Drop at the Lake of the Ozarks. Peter, are you in? We're going to the Duck Drop. I've already decided. Drake's in.
I need somebody to be my sober driver because I will not be able to see ducks like that without having
falling from the sky.
Yeah, without a bunch of booze in me. Some good booze. I'm talking about Pappy Van Winkle bourbon. I'm talking about good stuff.
Okay, we'll work on that. Next up, we're working on what's wild and wacky in the world of John.
Well, on that note, duck. Sophie, duck.
Peter is so excited about more talk about ducks. That's up next on Wake Up Missouri.
This
And that would be all. Except for this.
Rubber, yes, but not quite ducks. WNBA struggling with a string of sex toy disturbances. The Indianapolis fans already have termed it Flying Wienergate in the past week and a half.
A lot of
so.
marital aids in the air at your wacky WNBA games.
That would be it. Let's see. Atlanta, Los Angeles, twice in Chicago. The most recent one hit the court during the closing seconds of the Atlanta Dreams' victory over the Sky. The sex toy that landed on the court in L.A. nearly hit Fever Guard and former Missouri Lady Tigers Sophie Cunningham in the head during Indiana's game against the Sparks. That's right. Thrown at New York and Phoenix. A man arrested Saturday in Georgia after he was accused of throwing a sex toy onto the court during the Dreams game with the Valkyries. And he went on to tell police, well, it was supposed to be a joke, and the joke was supposed to go viral. The 18-year-old pulled the unnaturally large sex toy from his sweater pocket, threw it towards the box seats in front of him, hitting a woman spectator in the back, and he was promptly punched out by the woman's husband.
And as it should be, but here's the question, is that he was hiding it in his shirt.
Sure.
Okay.
Sweater.
A sweater. Well, okay, summer. Number one, it's weird that a man would show up with a sweater to anything. Number two, wouldn't you notice that what the hell's going on with security?
They just went to a clear bag policy, didn't they? And I mean, I've tried to get into Mizzou games, and I've argued with them, and I probably shouldn't have, that my bag was like an eighth of an inch. You know, they set it up next to the thing, and it was like, and they were like, you got to turn around. And you couldn't fit. I mean, I couldn't fit my phone in the bag that I had, and I thought, well, sheesh.
And this one was said to be unnaturally large, close quotes.
Yeah, in a sweater, wouldn't there be, well, shall I say it, a bulge?
You would think.
Yeah.
You know, I think they went to a no bag policy for a hot second to avoid this. And what ended up happening was after that happened, another dildo got thrown onto the court. So a lot of people online are speculating how he got it in.
That is terrible. I know there was.
Could there be like like
Family
an
show.
Ocean's 11 type thing to sneak the marital aid into the building? I don't know.
There was for a while a Poly Market bet going about what color the next one thrown would be. Now but I think since they changed, now it's just whether one will be thrown or not. The chances, according to Poly Market, are very low. I think now that they've changed the bag policies and they're cracking down on this, I think they're thinking it's low. But Sophie Cunningham tweeted, I think the day before, hey, quit throwing these things. You're going to hurt one of us. And then the next day she gets whacked by one on the court.
Well, what would you want to be hit with?
Hero Sophie Cunningham. She's amazing.
Yeah, would you want to be at a Fever game and get clobbered by a flying sex toy?
Object?
Or be at a Red Wings game and get hit by a dead octopus, you know?
Well, octopuses are basically soft, gelatinous sort of beings where
you'd have it for a snack, too, I guess.
I'm waiting for them to the audience to come together because sports fans are always so clever. I remember in law school, we would go to the Mizzou football games. In the very first game, the sororities or fraternities, somebody blew up a beach ball and start throwing it around the crowd. And the security guy gets super mad. The students are booing him. He finally gets a hold of the beach ball. He holds it up in front of the crowd and stabs it with a knife and throws the deflated beach ball on the ground. And the students are just mad and booing. And so they're chill for the next couple of games, right? They're plotting. And the homecoming game comes up, and first touchdown, there must have been 100 beach balls. They plotted and planned, and it took this poor man and his friends a long time to grab all the beach balls, and the students said, we'll show you. So I'm waiting for the day that we just get multiple
marital aid, marital happiness devices thrown on WNBA court.
Yeah. I think that's coming.
Well, for a while, there was a whole conspiracy that some crypto group was behind this with the whole Poly Market and that they were betting on it. And I think of back in the day, you used to streak and you could bet if someone was going to streak on the field. And there was one guy who did it during the Super Bowl, and he used that money to pay his bail and all of that. So, I mean, if you want to make a quick buck, go to a Sky game and throw, a sex object on.
That is what year are we living in? What What is that?
I don't
know. Nashville Predators throw catfish on the court. So
I am, I guess, another reason why I don't go to the WNBA games.
So, it's not very convenient to go either.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. All right, coming up next, we're going to be talking to David Stokes of the Show Me Institute. We're looking at water rate hikes in Columbia, a tax increase on the Springfield ballot, and also the state committee that's been meeting about property tax reform. That's up next on Wake Up Missouri. We're glad you're here.
which you can see the sales pitch that's going to bring all these conferences here. Well, there's a lot of great places to go for a conference. Why would someone go to Jeff City or Columbia or Springfield when there's an actual vacation sort of enterprise that would be attractive for a convention like Branson?
Oh, exactly. And that's I guess to the advantage of the Lake of the Ozark region, which hosts many conferences, of course, and Branson, which have those wonderful tourist parks out there. All the entertainment facilities are already out there, and they're going. And some of it funded by taxpayers in Branson, but a lot of it not, especially in Lake of the Ozarks. And they're wonderful areas, and that is a tough thing to compete against. And I touched upon that in the start of the interview. Right. I mean, if you're planning a conference and you might have there's all sorts of great stuff in Jeff City and Columbia and Springfield, but you know what? You have existing popular facilities in places people really like to go to in Branson and the Lake of the Ozarks. And if for taxpayers and voters in Springfield, Jeff City, or wherever to just think those conferences are going to up and move to your new city, well, this is where they're over-promising how many things are going to come. And those promises were made in St. Louis.
Yes, Stephanie.
If we expand our convention center, people are going to come, and it just hasn't really happened.
David Stokes with Show Me Institute. Stephanie Bell goes to a lot more conferences than I do, but I'm going through the conferences I've done in the last 10 years. I've done Toronto, I've done D.C., New York, Los Angeles, Nashville. I am not seeing a lot of conferences that are showing up in a place like Springfield or Columbia or Jeff City that are for that mid sort of audience that going through. Every professional thing I go to is one of those big cities.
Exactly. But there is a market for these sort of mid-sized conferences, no doubt. But as we're talking about, everybody's competing to get them. Like St. Charles on the eastern side of the state just opened a big convention center a decade or so ago. And yeah, it's popular, but all these cities or communities think that their one is going to be the next big one, and it just isn't going to happen. That doesn't mean it's all going to be a failure. It doesn't mean they won't get any conferences. Of course they'll get some, but does it justify the tax increase? Does it justify what drives me nuts is they're always, all these cities, and Springfield is certainly doing this, they're always arguing, well, right now our hotel tax rate is lower than average, so we'll just raise it up and it'll be now average. Well, of course, then the next Joplin will look at Springfield's rate and say, well, now we're average, so let's raise our hotel rate so it's only slightly above average. It's this never-ending sort of stepladder as everybody keeps raising their hotel tourist rates. And, I mean, what we pay to go to a hotel now is just insane in taxes. Springfield would be 16% total with this passes when you combine the sales tax. That's a lot of money. And, yes, people who plan these conventions do take these things into consideration. This whole build the convention center and businesses will flock here and we'll save downtown bit, it didn't work in St. Louis. I don't expect it's going to work in Springfield or Jeff City or elsewhere. It might. But these cities are making promises I don't think they have the data to actually support.
So do your research. There are votes coming to you both in Jefferson City and Springfield on this topic in November. Check out David Stokes' work with the Show Me Institute. You can visit their website. But we appreciate the insights this morning, David. Thanks for joining us.
Always great talking to you guys. Have a great rest of your week.
All righty. Well, that conference center is a hot topic. John, how long do you think we've been talking about it in Jefferson City?
Early 1980s.
And I think there is something.
And the history for our Springfield folks, you know it well. John Q. Hammonds, when he built the Capitol Plaza Hotel just down the hill from the Missouri State Capitol, part of that whole complex was a complete convention center complex, and he got the runaround from Jefferson City and said, the heck with you, see you later.
Yeah, it's been a long history in Jefferson City, but I do think there is value in your capital city being able to host a centrally located conference, maybe not the types of conferences that Peter goes to, but they're close to your state legislators.
Yeah,
so
hotel occupancy rate in the capital city of maybe 50%.
Goodness. All right. Well, coming up next, we are going to get to your morning bell. We'll recap those inflation numbers and also talk about some new tools you might want to check out with Google.
You're listening.
record close yesterday. It would be a good day to check your portfolio.
I did
Peter.
yesterday.
You did?
It was great. It was
all
a
right.
great day.
Well, of course, we got some pretty good inflation news, and all are hoping for an interest rate cut in September. That's been rumored, but obviously that data has a lot to do with whether we're going to get that or not. But investors are betting that we might see an interest rate cut, and they're feeling good. We had the NASDAQ yesterday up 1.39%. The Dow, let's do S&P. S&P up 1.13%. The Dow at 1.1% up. All of the sectors were in the green, with the big gains we were seeing in financials, technology, and communication services. Now, Google, there's a lot of Google news right now. And Peter, I want to ask you, after our conversation today, I think I know the answer, but you don't use Google Chrome. That's not your favorite browser, is it?
Yes, it is.
I was going to think it was DuckDuckGo.
No. I hate ducks. I hate rubber ducks. Rubber ducks are the devil.
People are very particular about their browsers. I am a Google Chrome girl. I use it all the time. I was struggling with my computer last night, and I think if my computer could talk, it would say, well, if you didn't have 147 Google Chrome tabs open, I could work a little bit, more efficiently.
Yeah, there's eliminating extra tabs is not a bad idea.
I struggle with that. But yesterday we heard Perplexity, which is an AI startup, actually offered to buy Google Chrome for $34.5 billion. This is a little bit surprising because it's double what Google is currently valued at. So they're actually thinking there is some strategery going on here, because Google is currently in a lawsuit. And they're basically saying, hey, Google should have to sell off its Chrome browser. They're basically saying there's no interested parties. And this offer, although is, unrealistic, they're saying, well, now it gives the judge kind of an inkling that maybe there are interested parties and that you could separate some of these Google parts and maybe they're too big, and need to be busted up.
Peter Thiel, no relation to me.
Really?
The billionaire who...
The zillionaire, yeah.
Do you ever email people and they're like, oh, my gosh.
I get hit up all the time. I've had proposals.
I would stick with the bit.
From women and men.
Oh, hey.
Because he's a gay guy.
Okay.
And so I have had people hit me up for business proposals.
And other types of proposals.
I mean, it's just
because he's not just a gay guy. He's a very rich gay guy.
Yeah. So it's... he's a Republican, and God bless him. So Peter Thiel... his theory that he said, 4 or 5 years ago, wrote an article saying there has to be, on the digital space, there needs to be a uniformity of the codes that are used so that it really is sort of a monopolistic look at the computer codes. Because if you look at how Apple does things and how other companies do things, it's a very different way. And he says it almost should be put together to make it seamless and easily adaptable.
I say let the marketplace sort it out. But Google is actually coming up with a new feature that I think might be of interest to the Wake Up fam, in that they're going to let you personalize the news that you see. You're going to be able to go into your Google settings with this new feature and identify your preferred sources.
And then they give you everything from the New York Times and MSNBC.
No, your preferred sources.
Washington Post.
And so I think they are giving us news that maybe isn't our preferred source. And so we're going to be able to pick our preferred sources. And when you then put something in Chrome that relates to the news, those stories are supposed to pop up first.
And then you have to go to Peter Thiel's PayPal to pay for it all.
Perhaps. Well, check out that new feature on Google and maybe add the Eagle to your, or KWTO or KWOS to your preferred sources.
Has America been fair to Donald Trump?
Tariffs have largely been used as two things: national security components or as revenue generators. He has now created a third category, which is we're going to use it as a negotiation tactic. And he has the whole world spinning, and they're
He has the whole world spinning, but as you just heard in the Morning Bell, it seems like this spring he had the market spinning over all of the tariff news, and that has settled down quite substantially, Peter.
Yeah, because they are working. And by the way, I'm a total free trader. I'm all in on it, but you have to do a negotiation. If you go, oh, we don't put tariffs on anything, and every other country does, guess who's getting screwed in this? The Americans. That's why Donald Trump is a genius on this. And I want zero tariffs on everything. I agree with Gary Nolan, who starts at 9 o'clock on these wonderful Zimmer radio group stations. I'm just going to tell you, it is going to be an amazing thing when these trade deals get done, and we may be at a place of zero tariffs around the world.
Well, I think our last guest, David Stokes, talked about these local tax rates as kind of a stepladder. As soon as you even up, someone else raises it, and they just keep going up and up and up. And so I think the question is, we haven't been matching everyone else. So if we start matching them and we start forcing some of these countries to bring their own tariffs down, can we do the stepladder in the opposite direction? Can we use it as a negotiating tactic to get closer to something like free trade? Peter, you think maybe the answer is yes?
Yes, I think it totally is. And free trade, I'm a big fan of it. And there's a lot of people who live in utopian worlds. They want everything exactly perfect. Well, that's not how life is. There's always wrinkles in it. And the big thing for me as I look at trade, we've offered this stuff for 60 years saying, well, eventually they're going to want to do what we do. And no, they're not doing it. Donald Trump realized that a long time ago. Here we are. Hopefully we get it all fixed and life will be good.
I hope you're right. Well, Peter, I have worn the crown for many years on Wake Up Missouri as the show's biggest hater. And I think we're about to the point where I'm going to pass the crown to you as the ultimate hater. The more I've learned about you this morning.
I hate a lot of stuff.
You hate ducks, we've learned.
Yes. Rubber ducks.
Rubber ducks.
Yeah, normal living ducks I'm fine with.
All right. You hate tariffs.
Yes.
And apparently you also hate, is it the golf carts themselves or the people who drive the golf carts?
I hate golf carts on roads. Yesterday, I was on Range Line.
It's like a big street.
Yeah, it's a big street in Columbia. I dropped off my dog, and there were 5 people on the bike lane riding their golf cart. And I don't know where, it was like a whole family of people. There was kids, there was adults, the whole deal riding the golf cart. And I'm going, okay, this golf cart on the road on a cul-de-sac crap has to end now. Cut down on that. Make them illegal. I hate them.
I am here for freedom for golf carts. I love a good golf cart. I like driving them around
on a golf
lakes.
Course.
No, anywhere. Like small neighborhoods. Range Line might be a little bit
That's why then on the course they call them cart paths.
Well, I don't like the ones that have, now they have all that technology in them. And I was trying to drive my kids around a course and we were going to cut through something, and the minute you got off the cart path, the whole thing shut down, and I had to get assistance from the dads to get my cart back where it was supposed to be. It was
way to go.
Horrible.
Breaking the rules.
Oh, well, I was just trying to
I hate rule breakers.
Save us some
I hate
time.
all that.
Well, the Wall Street Journal actually picked this article up and this topic, and they say golf carts have taken over suburbia. Cue the resistance. They call it a slow-rolling cavalry is conquering America's public roads. And many cities have gone on and said, yeah, we're going to legalize driving your golf cart on streets. Now, it's been a hot topic in Jefferson City. I think it's come up for a vote now twice, John, and they considered
they shot it down.
They considered legalizing golf carts in Jefferson City, which actually I think a lot of roads in Jefferson City would be fine if you drove a golf cart.
Yeah, as I recall, the ordinance said basically they had to have all the standard lights on them. They had to be restricted to back city streets, under 30-mile-per-hour speed limits and all. And I'll tell you, because I live out in the country, and we've got the country version of the golf carts, especially this time of year, is the side-by-sides.
Yep.
Which are fine when Pop is going out to feed, but not so neat when the neighbor kids who are very underage are blasting up and down the county roads on them all the time. I just think it's an accident waiting to happen.
Oh, and those accidents happen all the time. There's a news story not that long ago of a poor young child that either was severely injured or died somewhere in Missouri for being on one of those side-by-sides and one of those four-wheel type deals, and they thought they were being real fancy, and they hit a bump on the land, and they got thrown out and, met their maker.
Yeah, so, we have one of those. We report on those about once a week.
Yeah.
Text us 573-874-9390. Are you Team Peter in hatred for golf carts on public roads? Or are you Team Freedom? Drive whatever you want. I mean, people drive their lawnmower down the road. I've seen that.
Yeah,
I always wonder if that
those
person...
are normally drunk.
Yeah, I wonder if that... Well, I just wonder if they have a DUI or they don't have a license, and then can you drive your lawnmower on the road if you're unlicensed?
Well, no, you can't, and it depends how you're using it. For instance, they used to have, and I think they changed the law in Missouri, that, those small motorcycles under a certain amount of CCs,
little scooters.
They used to call them liquor sickles because everyone who drove them was basically somebody who couldn't drive because they had a few DUIs.
That's right. 50 cc, under 50 cc's was the cutoff.
Was the rule? What's the
rule
now?
Is that still the rule?
I don't know.
I see little motorcycles that are now tagged where it used to be they were not. I think now they make you follow the rules.
I know it is illegal to drive a riding mower on a public road.
Well, at least one...
Not in Stephanie's neighborhood, apparently. Everyone does.
That's Southern Boone.
At least one Florida man agrees with Peter because he's quoted in the Wall Street Journal as saying, "We all hate you." He posted on TikTok.
Damn right.
Get off your golf cart and drive a regular car is what he says.
Like a man. Like a man.
I think it's an important consideration. I mean, it's obviously hitting the roadways here in Missouri and has been a topic of consideration in Jefferson City. And I think for a lot of people, I mean, it's cheaper, right? Isn't it? It would be cheaper to drive your golf cart if you're just going, I think, John, I lived in the West Main, Hazleton neighborhood for a long time, and I could walk, but it would be much nicer if I just had a little golf cart and I could scoot down to West Main Pizza, scoot over to the little shops there. I mean, I'm not going very far. Who am I hurting?
By the way, golf carts can go, I'm as expensive as $11,000.
They're really expensive.
Yeah, $4,000. Hey,
I'm thinking 15, 16.
Well, I guess you can go and, especially if it has a cooler with a cup holder and, place to put your beers. And whenever I look at a golf cart driving, I also think of people that are liquored up while doing it. Maybe I'm being a little cynical, but I golfing.
The six people that were driving on Rangeline in the middle of the day yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday morning at 7. And I would have loved to have given them a sobriety test.
They were coming home from a party at 7 in the morning on a golf cart in Rangeline, I think.
Boy, that's kind of taking your life in your own hands, but okay.
That is a lot. Well, tell us what you think, 573-874-9390, and let us know, should golf carts be legal on streets? Now, we do have an update today quickly about the Texas legislature redistricting. Obviously, is a hot topic in Missouri. We've been kind of previewing it for you here on Wake Up Missouri. Of course, the thing we're waiting on is the special session call, because what it's been talked about is if Missouri was going to do mid-cycle redistricting, that it would have to be in a special session. Historically, John, those special sessions, they save money by calling them at the same time as veto session, which is happening in early to mid-September. And so it's kind of the clock's ticking because we're, through a month away from special session in veto session in Jefferson City. And so we're kind of waiting.
We heard from Brad Jones yesterday from National Federation of Independent Business, and we asked him what happens if this doesn't happen in special session and that debate goes over into the regular session. He said, good luck getting much anything else passed.
It could really tie them up for sure. But in Texas, what we heard yesterday, they did have an actual vote in the Senate. Now, of course, it has to go to the House. The House members were the ones who fled to break the quorum, but they're being called back, though, right, Peter?
They're being called back, and they'll eventually return home. It's Beto O'Rourke apparently has been funding this, or has arranged to fund these people while they're out of town. J.D. Pitzker, they went and hung out in Illinois. And J.D. Pitzker obviously can afford to pay that. One of my cousins went to high school with J.D. Pitzker.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, they only earn, I think I heard they earn like $600 a month on their legislative salary, and I think they were being fined like $500 a day for being out of town. So it can't be.
And the Texas AG said he may pursue going after them for fraud, bribery charges by taking outside money to fund their escape.
Well, and again, it's Texas legislature is part-time, just like Missouri. So, whether you're an insurance agent, whether you're farming, I mean, who's baling your hay, who's tending to your cattle, who's selling your insurance. So not only are you getting these fines, but certainly if you're gone for 3 weeks, most people, I mean, someone's got to be funding their lifestyle and these things, because most normal people couldn't just leave their job for 3 weeks and be okay.
And most Democrats, their careers are like, they're really not insurance agents. Many of them are just, when they get home, they make weaves of T-shirts out of hemp.
And so they can sell their online hemp T-shirts from Illinois.
Yeah. That's
okay,
how they make their living. They're activists. They're not legit people.
They're Hunter Biden artists?
Yes.
Okay, that's
it's
fair.
a paint by number
Gummy bear
artist.
cooks.
All right.
Well, believe me, they like gummies.
That is, I can see that. All right. Well, we'll continue. Again, that the Senate has passed the map in Texas. It still will have to go through the House. We'll have our eyes on that. And, of course, we will be waiting and watching to see if there is a call for some sort of redistricting in Missouri. But up next, we are going to get to leftovers.
This
To Wake Up Missouri. And Peter, although you hate golf carts, it appears the Wake Up fam hates bicycles more. Y'all are texting us. Terry says, I have more of a beef with bicycles on public roads, especially out in the country. Nick says, drive anything motorized on the road, but keep those bleep bicycles off the road, especially the rural roads. Charles has one suggestion. He says, let's widen the bike path that no one uses for our golf carts. I think you're losing this argument, Peter.
You know what? I'm willing to stand on this hill. And by the way, the bicycle thing I agree with. And you know what drives me about the bicycle riders? They think they're in the Tour de France. They dress up in the spandex.
There's 20 of them in a pack.
Have aerodynamic helmets. Dopey. You're playing dress up. It's not, it's exercise. Go exercise. Wear shorts, baggy gym shorts, a T-shirt, and ride your bike. That's perfectly fine. But when you start dressing up like you're in the Tour de France, it's a fashion show, you don't have me anymore.
Okay, Peter is also anti-spandex. But one texter says, free the golf carts, and Jeff says, pro-freedom. I love the golf carts in Ashland. Okay, for our leftovers, I do think this is a positive note. We're getting reports of the standardized testing amongst our K through 12 students. The first look at those tests that were taken at the end of last year, and overall we saw an improvement. In math, we improved as much from about 1 to 4%. In science, with 1.5 to 3.5% increases. So we are doing better. I think that's an improvement. The interesting thing, they said there were a couple of exceptions, and those exceptions were in 4th and 5th grade. And the really interesting thing about that is those are our COVID kindergartners. And so I worry about those, and I know, so I think that's probably more of a reflection on my ability as a teacher, because I was not a good kindergarten teacher because I had a kindergarten COVID girl. But I think we're going to have to monitor those kids who started out their educational path with folks who are not professionally trained like myself.
Yes.
And really watch that. So that data was good news overall, but certainly that 4th and 5th grade number, we need to keep a watchful eye on them.
I have a lesson for everybody. Women, if you're married to the bowling billionaire magnate son from Virginia.
I didn't know that was a thing or an option.
Yeah, apparently it is.
Okay.
This feller, he took a shine to their nanny. And is getting a divorce from his wife, who's a clinical psychologist. And so they had a nanny for their 4 kids, and he left the wife for the nanny. And I'm just going to tell you something.
It's always the nanny.
Is that if you've got the wherewithal to hire a nanny, find yourself
an ugly
an older lady that's, maybe has a couple of facial warts and a little husky.
There you go.
If you go in and bring in the hot 20-year-old, nanny to work for a couple of years for you while she's in school, she may take a shine to the husband and the way of life that you guys are living, and bingo, dunno, marriage exploded.
Well,
two words. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, and so it's it's not an unusual thing, by the way. Ben Affleck, his marriage to Jennifer Garner ended because he apparently was he sort of took a shine to the nanny.
Well, in also other newly single people news, we've got some single dudes on the show. There's somebody new on the market, Peter.
Yes. Ashley Biden. How many times has she been through treatment? Oh, my goodness. She seems like she has it all together.
We got the news out, yesterday? That she is newly divorced.
That she filed.
Oh, filed for divorce.
And she did it on social media, of course. Made that big announcement.
Of course. So if you were in the
From
market.
Dad's basement.
A real winner there. John, what's on your leftover plate?
I have an assignment for you tomorrow at the fair, and it won't cost you anything.
I have a lot of fair homework. Actually.
Okay, well, we need you to swing by the MoDOT Highway Gardens where Otto the Talking Car is.
Ooh.
And get a brand new 2025 paper printed road map from MoDOT. They still print road maps in 2025.
I saw this.
And the only people grabbing them are kids who don't know the difference and geezers who lost their previous one.
That's right. They left it in the golf cart.
One of the funniest TikToks I've seen in a while was like, do you realize that like if you were in the passenger seat in, just 10 years ago, you were like a pirate. They had us out here with these maps like we were all pirates trying to figure out where the heck you were going. And then we went to the printed off map quest that you had to print it out and take it with you. Oh, I'm glad we are beyond those days.
And now it's digital.
Oh, if I didn't have my phone, I would be eternally lost. All right, coming up next, your favorite libertarian, Gary Nolan. Bye.